Come closer. The hollow has something for you tonight. Night gathers softly at your window, like velvet turned to breath. It will not frighten. It only asks for the slow hush of your lungs. And the way you listen when the room forgets its shape if your breath slows and the dark feels safe. Follow my voice and subscribe if you want to hear what the shadows will tell. Next time, tell me in the comments where you are, your city, your country. Now dim the lights. Perhaps light a candle and drift with me into the story. You remember the first unspoken word, as if it were a seed under your tongue. Small, bitter, resting in the cool of your mouth like a river stone at dusk. You did not say it. Yet your teeth felt it thrum, a moth's pale wings against unseen glass. You stood in a narrow hallway, wallpaper the color of tea left out too long. Above a small table, a framed sketch of a lantern, its flame a smudge of gold dust. You always straightened it as you passed. If the lantern stayed level, the night might, too. In the bowl on that table lay a charm you found beneath the birch, bone white, looped with red thread. It clicked like a tooth when you turned it. It smelled faintly of rain on cold iron. You do not know its name, but it seemed to listen. Even now you hear the careful way silence leans. That evening, the house held a hush you could not place. Only the stillness that comes when a story notices you noticing it. You let your breath move like tide through reeds. From behind a shut door came a whisper, not words. The sound stopped where you stood. You wanted to ask who was there, but you did not move. Moving would name something that wished to remain nameless. The word under your tongue pressed up, ready to be born. You kept your mouth in a soft line and gave the smallest refusal. No, not yet. Beside the bowl lay a worn notebook, plain covers, edges feathery from a life in someone else's pocket. You had not seen it before. A faint thumb-shaped dent in the front. You reached for it, though you remember also your hand stayed at your side. This is the first slip. You both reached and didn't. Memory becomes a room with two doors that look the same. Say you opened it. The weight of it lives in your palm. A dry fragrance of glue and wind rises. The first page looks blank, and then not. Letters like sleeping worms shift in the pale. They spell the name you never give yourself aloud. You blink. They loosen. They swim back into cream. Your breath ripples the page, though. No air stirs. The notebook does not hum. It listens. You set it down. But when you look away, the notebook sits closer to your hand. You cannot prove it moved. But you know, your reflection finds you in the lantern glass. It tilts. The frame, and your hand follows. Only then do you notice a second tiny wick beside the first. A twin tongue of light no pencil had drawn. You lean. It winks out. A smudge again. That seems to watch the way the notebook listens. You lift the bone charm to your ear like a shell. Inside it sounds of a train far away, or bees under. Snow, something patient. You tie the charm to the notch of the bowl, so it hangs like a small bell. If it moves, you will be warned. If it does not, the warning is already in you. The thread brushes your knuckles. The knot holds. You want to flee the hallway, to go outside, where night lies in the yard like a friendly animal, heavy and cool. But the house will not let you choose yet. The hush returns, carrying a question. Will you take the story to your pillow and pretend to forget? Or hold it here and feel it answer you back? The word in your mouth warms. You try to say anything else. Hello, perhaps, or later. Nothing leaves your lips. The hallway lengthens. Floorboards draw nearer. Ceiling drifts away. From the shut door, a second voice rises, higher and hoarse. The first whisper has been remembering where to begin. The second is deciding how you will answer. You open the notebook again, or you dream you do while your hands remain at your sides. Either path leads to the same place. There in the margin, a door, sketched in ink, narrow as a gasp, with a handle shaped like a comma. Perhaps it was there, nearly white against white. Perhaps it grew from your attention. The door is closed, and not closed, when you blink. The handle turns just enough for the paper to pucker. A breath pauses between the leaves, as if someone on the other side has leaned close. You speak to the page without sound. Please, not now. I am only trying to sleep. The lantern glows softer, as if cupped from wind. The bone charm taps the bowl with the faintest click. You have not moved, yet your private name stands in pale letters along the edge. You blow on them. They go to powder. Like ash from a fire that never burned, this is the part where you choose. Only there is no choosing. There is only noticing what you have already chosen. You rest the notebook against your chest and feel the cool speak through the cover. Only the shape of words, trying your heartbeat on like a borrowed coat. You see the hallway as the house sees it, a long mouth-tasting silence. The hidden word is a pebble for a windowsill you might leave forever, or a seed you could bury and water with each night's breath. You set the notebook down again. It will wait. The hush deepens until it is almost music. If you step away now, the story will not follow. If you stay, the story will learn the rhythm of your lungs and sleep when you do. You lift the lantern frame and straighten it. The twin wick flickers, tender as a moth, then dims into a memory you will question in the morning. You touch the bone charm, and it is warmer than your fingers. You tell yourself that warmth is only thread on wood. You tuck the quiet around. You like blankets. The first unspoken word settles again beneath your tongue. Not a burden, a compass whose needle rests where fear and comfort meet. It points inward, toward a room you cannot map, and a door you will swear you did not. Draw, let it rest tonight, Let it choose the slower heartbeat. Let the pages not yet opened listen to you breathing, as if your breath were rain, and there were a thirsty field, and when you drift. Let the house hold your name so lightly that even you cannot hear it, only the quiet can. The house was still when you returned to the hallway, still, but not asleep. It felt as though the air had tucked itself behind the walls, watching through hairline cracks in the plaster. The notebook waited exactly where you left it. Only the cover was no longer plain. In the right corner, small and careful, was a pressed leaf. Thin veins spreading like rivers under winter ice. It was not drawn. It was real, and yet dry as dust, though no season had passed since last you touched the pages. You knelt. The lantern's glow leaned toward it, as if light itself was curious. The bone charm swung, only slightly. In a breathless arc, you could swear it sighed. The leaf caught your fingertip when you brushed it. Not sharp, not soft, but like a word misremembered in the middle of a sentence. When you opened the cover, the pages felt warmer than before. Not heat from a flame, the kind that rises from skin after holding a secret too long. There was writing now, dense and curling, in a hand you almost recognized. Each line leaning forward, as though eager to spill from the paper. You read the first few words. They were yours, a thought you had not spoken, not even to yourself. Set down in the ink's slow voice, the sound of your own silence. Answering back from the page made your throat tighten. The hum came then, so faint you might have mistaken it for the rhythm of your blood. But no, it pulsed in the air between you and the book, low, measuring, almost conversational. You asked it nothing. Still, it replied. The letters began to fade, sinking into the paper. Then, from the center margin, words pressed outward, wet and new, not black, but the deep green of moss and shadow. They shaped themselves into a sentence you didn't know how to read. Though each mark felt familiar against your eyes, you tried to turn the page. It would not move. Instead, the leaf from the cover slid across, folding itself between the two sheets. You thought you heard it whisper as it disappeared, a sound like the brushing of two coats in a narrow hall. Your pulse matched the hum now. The bone charm clicked once. The lantern's twin flame, the one that wasn't supposed to exist, shivered. You leaned closer until your breath dimpled the paper. A hinge creaked somewhere in the walls or inside the notebook. The next page turned on its own. There, a drawing. A corridor too long for the paper to hold, narrowing to a blur. Along its sides, doors half open. From each, a faint thread stretched to the center, tangling, braiding, then vanishing into a single dark knot near the page's edge. At the knot's heart, a tiny gold fleck. You thought it might be dust, but when you looked again, it pulsed. The hum swelled slightly. The gold fleck shifted, aligning itself with the lantern on the table beside you. When its light caught the page. The drawing seemed to deepen. The corridor leaned toward you, its doors breathing in and out. Your name, the private one, the one you saw before, appeared again. But fractured now, broken into syllables, scattered along the corridor floor. You reached to gather them, forgetting they were only marks on paper. Your fingertips met cold glass, as though the drawing was under a pane. Or waiting behind a window you could not open. From somewhere, a drop of water fell, slow, deliberate, and you knew it landed inside the book, though no damp touched your skin. The sound bent itself into a low voice, curling into your ear. It did not speak words you could repeat. Only the shape of them lingered, heavy and sweet, like honey left too long in the jar. You swallowed, and the taste followed down. The hum steadied, waiting for you to answer. The lantern's flame popped softly. Its light shifted, bending. Shadows, so the bone charm's shadows stretched across the page. The charm's outline merged with the gold fleck in the drawing, and for a breath, the two glowed the same pale fire. You knew then that the story in the notebook was not only written for you. It was written with you. Your unspoken thoughts had become its ink, its voice, a mirror for what you refused to name. And yet, beneath all of it was a question. Not shouted, not urgent, but deep as the ground under frost. Would you turn the next page? Your hand hovered above it, sleeve brushing the paper like a cautious tide. You could feel the hum slow, as though the book waited for you to breathe the answer into its spine. The lantern leaned closer, the bone charm still, and watchful. You did not turn the page, not yet. You closed the book, gently, and the hum withdrew, but not completely. It settled into the air around you, a new layer of silence. The leaf was gone from the cover. Only a faint green stain remained, the shape of a hand resting too long on skin. You placed the notebook back on the table, aligning it perfectly with the lantern. And though you left the hallway, you carried the rhythm of its voice inside your chest. Each beat of your heart now a page half turned. You knew when you came back, it would already be speaking again. You find yourself back in the hallway before you mean to be. No footsteps between then and now. Only the slow unfolding of a thought you hadn't noticed carrying you here. The lantern's twin flame is burning again. You know you didn't light it. Its second tongue of light sways, as though in conversation with the first. You reach to steady it, but the glass is cold. Colder than before. The bone charm sways once. Chain rattling like a thought breaking the surface of water. The notebook sits exactly where you left it, but the air above it moves. A thin shimmer, like heat over stone in summer. You watch it ripple, and as you do, the cover shivers, almost imperceptibly. You have the sense it has been waiting with eyes closed, and has just now opened them. You lower your hand, Your sleeve brushes the table, the faint fabric noise sounding louder than it should. The cover tilts by a hair's width. It should not be possible. The surface beneath is flat, yet the movement feels deliberate, like a nod given to someone you can't see. You open it. Slow, the pages resist, as if the spine is deciding whether you're welcome. When the paper finally turns, the smell of ink blooms, rich and dark, as though freshly spilled. On the page, lines appear, not written from left to right, but blooming outward from the center, each word curling toward you like a vine finding light. The hum begins again, deeper than before. Your skin recognizes it, not your ears. Your fingertips tingle where they rest on the edges. It feels like the sound is inside you, using your own bones as a hollow chamber. You lean in. The ink moves when you are not looking directly at it. In the corner of your gaze, it bends, rearranges when you try to catch it in motion. It freezes, harmless, silent, but you know it has been watching. You can feel the attention, sharp as the moment someone says your name in a crowd. Then, a drip, not water. A soft weight striking the page. You glance down, a bead of ink, perfectly round, dark as a pupil. It spreads slowly, and you see your reflection in it. But the reflection blinks before you do. You jerk slightly. Enough for the bone charm to swing and strike the table. The sound is soft, but the ink bead trembles as if startled. Then, without touching it, the bead elongates, forming a thin black line that curves toward the margin. It stops at a small sketch of the gold fleck from before, only now the fleck has a ring of tiny marks around it, symbols you don't know, yet recognize somewhere deep in your chest. Rain taps the glass nearby. You don't remember it starting. It taps in a rhythm that doesn't match the wind. Instead, it matches the hum. You place a hand lightly on the page. The hum rises in response, almost warm. The ink lines tilt toward your fingers. As though sensing the heat of your touch, you flip to the next page. It turns easily this time, eager. Here, a drawing of the lantern, perfectly rendered, but instead of flame. The twin lights are two open eyes. They are closed in one moment, open in the next. You are sure you saw the lids move. You whisper to it, though you don't know why, and the eyes shift to meet yours. Not the way painted eyes seem to follow in a gallery. This is focus. Recognition. The ink is aware. Your own. Reflection in the glass beside you darkens, edges softening, until you can't be certain where your outline ends. It leans slightly, out of sync with you. The bone charm swings forward, as if drawn toward the reflection instead of gravity. You close the notebook, but the hum doesn't stop. It lingers, filling the air between your ribs. When you look down, the cover is warm beneath your palm, as though it has learned your heartbeat and is keeping it safe. You slide it away from the lantern, but its shadow remains beside the light. A perfect outline of the book closed, but with pages moving inside, as though it continues to turn them in your absence. The rain slows. The hum drops to a near whisper. You set the notebook back down, but you do not turn your back. On it, somewhere deep in its spine, you can feel it smiling, if ink can smile. And when you finally leave the hallway, the sense of being watched does not fade. You know it is not the house that follows you now. It is the story, and the story has eyes. It comes to you slowly that the door in the drawing has not stayed still. When you last saw it, it was a narrow mark in the margin, a comma-shaped handle, barely there. Now, as you open the notebook again, the page smells faintly of fresh graphite, and the door is taller. Wide enough for your shoulders if you were to stand before it in the world, you know. The hum beneath your skin returns. It feels heavier tonight, deep as water pressing from all sides. You run your thumb along the edge of the page and feel the faintest give, as though the paper is no longer perfectly flat, as though there is depth behind the drawn door. The bone charm sways, its shadow slipping over the door's handle like a finger tracing metal. The lantern's twin flames bend in the same direction, toward the page. You have the strange sense they're trying to illuminate the space inside. You lean close, breath settling over the paper, and the grain of the page darkens around the handle, like heat blooming under your gaze. When you blink, the comma shifts, a slow turn, not in the ink, but in the thing itself. There is a sound, soft, careful, like a knuckle rapping twice against wood far away. Then, another sound, the settling groan of old hinges. You glance. Up the hallway, nothing, but the air is different, cooler on one side of your face, as if a seam has opened nearby. Your fingers hover over the page. The hum rises, waiting. It feels like a held breath. When you touch the handle, you expect paper, but meet something round and chill, with a slight give of metal. Warmed by a hand long ago, the page deepens. The margins fall away, and for a blink, your sight tilts, as though the paper were floorboards and you were leaning over a stairwell. Beyond the drawn door lies a thin gray light. A hallway not unlike your own, but with walls that curve, so there are no corners to hide in. The gold fleck you've seen before glows faintly on the far wall, as if marking something or someone. You should close the notebook. You know this. And yet your thumb stays on the door's edge. The bone charm clicks against the bowl. Once, the lantern's twin flames flare, casting shadows that bend toward the notebook. Their tips brushing the threshold drawn there. You smell air that isn't yours. Dust, but sweet, like a loft where herbs have dried for years. And under it, the metallic tang of rain on stone. The hum becomes a tone, steady, low, and pulling. It feels in your bones the way a lullaby does, safe in sound, dangerous in meaning. You lean further until the paper's grain softens under your breath. The door's edge sways, and you feel something press back. Not hard, not violent, just enough to say it knows you are there. Your reflection in the lantern glass flickers, not from the flame, but from you. It leans into the glow while you remain still. In its hand is the notebook, open, door ajar. The hum falters once, then resumes. The drawing's handle turns all the way. The gray light widens, spilling over the page onto the table. You watch it pool, then creep toward the bone charm, where it stops, as though weighing whether to cross into the rest of the room. You could swear you hear a voice, low, muffled, like someone speaking behind a wall, the syllables pressed, flat by distance. You know, without knowing why, that it is telling the story you have yet to read. The gold fleck on the far wall pulses again, brighter, each glow slower than the last, as though marking the beat of a heart, not yours, not yet. The hum pulls again, not forceful, but steady, the way a river takes you if you stand still too long. Your hand lifts from the table. You don't remember telling it to. It hovers over the gray light, and the moment your skin meets it, the temperature shifts. A perfect match to your own dot in the margin. The page begins to ripple, each wave pushing the gray light higher, until it reaches your wrist. The bone charm swings hard once, striking the bowl with a note that shivers the air. The light retreats instantly, slipping back through the door, which closes, soft as a sigh. The hum fades to its smallest thread, nesting under your heartbeat. You close the notebook, this time. The cover is warm, but the warmth feels borrowed, as if it had been holding someone else moments before. The lantern settles, both flames steady. The bone charm hangs still, but the seam in the air remains, a thin line, unseen except for how your breath feels when you pass it. It tells you the door is still there, and next time it may not wait for you to open it. The hallway feels longer tonight. You have not moved more than a few steps, and yet the far wall drifts away, the way a shoreline does when fog lifts in the wrong direction. The lantern's twin flames steady themselves, but their light feels different, like the air between them, and you has thickened, made of something that bends glow into stranger shapes. The bone charm stirs, its thread brushing the bowl with the smallest sigh. It does not swing far, only enough for you to notice. Enough to remind you it is awake. The notebook is closed. You left it that way, yet a slip of paper now juts from the top edge. Not a page you folded, not a bookmark you own. The paper is thin, fibers rough against your fingers. When you draw it out, there is nothing written on it. Until you tilt it toward the lantern, faint letters appear in the angled light. Your name again, but this time written backward. The curve of the letters pulls your eyes along the wrong direction, making your gaze feel clumsy, like walking downhill in the dark. You look toward the door you never drew. You know it's shut. You felt it close, but the air holds that seems still, and you notice now it runs not only along the page, but also in the wall beside the table. Your reflection in the lantern glass is still there, only it isn't matching you exactly anymore. Its breathing is slower. Its eyes are not fixed on you, but on the seam. The paper in your hand warms suddenly. The warmth pools at the center, and you feel a pulse there. Not the quick beat of surprise, but the slow one of someone falling asleep from somewhere deep. A wind sighs. It does not pass through the hall. You hear it behind the seam. It smells faintly of wet stone and something sweet, like the last of tea leaves left in a pot overnight. The hum begins again. This time, it does not rise from the book. It comes from the wall, from the line you can almost see. It is the same tone as before, but heavier, as though carrying weight in each note. Your hand drifts toward it. Fabric brushes fabric, your own sleeve, but you think of the sound from the paper leaf that folded itself between pages before. The lantern pops, and in that sound, you hear a faint echo from behind the wall. As if there's another lantern there, mirroring yours flame, for flame. The paper in your hand curls at the edges. It shapes itself into something round, a loop, a threadless twin to the bone charm. You feel its weight settle against your palm, cool and certain. The hum dips low. You think for just a breath. You hear words in it, shaped like questions. They press against your mind, but do not cross over into knowing. Your reflection in the lantern glass smiles faintly. It is not your smile. It belongs to the story, and the story seems patient. You set the paper loop into the bowl beside the bone. Charm. They do not touch, but their shadows do, on the wall where the seam waits. The hum eases, sliding back into silence. The lantern steadies. You tell yourself you will not open the notebook tonight. But you know that the wall will keep asking, even if you never answer. You wake, or think you do. In the hallway, the floor is cool under your feet, as if the house has been holding its breath for hours. The lantern's twin flames are smaller now. Pinched almost to nothing, their glow rests more on the notebook than on you. The notebook is open. You know you left it closed. Its pages lie flat, yet the corners stir slightly, the way a sleeper's eyelids twitch and dream from somewhere deep inside. A page turns, not the ones in view, not the ones you can touch. A sound from a place beyond its spine. You lean closer. Your breath stirs the paper. The ink here is different, thicker, raised just enough for your fingertips to feel its path. It forms no words, you know. The lines curve and coil, like a path drawn through fog. The hum returns. Low and slow, settling into the hollow of your chest. You feel it guiding your own heartbeat, drawing it into a slower rhythm. The bone charm clicks once, swinging without wind. It stops in perfect alignment with the seam in the wall. The paper loop you left in the bowl turns slightly, its edge catching. Light that isn't there. A drip sounds from somewhere behind the wall. The seam seems wider now, though your eyes tell you it hasn't moved. What changes is the air. It feels drawn toward it, like a tide leaning on a shoreline. You touch the page. It's warm, not with heat, but with presence. The ink beneath your fingers shifts subtly, as if adjusting itself to your skin. You lift your hand, and the lines have changed. They now form the outline of the lantern, but the flames are gone. In their place are two small, dark shapes, eyes shut tight. The hum dips lower, becoming more like a breath. It matches the way the lines on the page pulse, opening a fraction, closing again. Your reflection in the lantern glass is not watching you now. It's watching the seam. Its head tilts in time with the hum. You feel the pull again, not to open the door, but to be still. To listen, to let the silence shape itself into something more. The paper loop in the bowl vibrates softly, a sound too low for ears. You feel it in your teeth. The bone charm sways once more, tapping it. The sound makes the ink on the page tremble. And then, without warning, one of the eyes in the drawing opens. No blink, no gradual reveal. It is simply open, looking at you. The hum stops. The air in the hallway holds perfectly still. The open eye is deep, not black but layered. Like looking down into water at night. Something stirs there, too far to see. Clearly, you don't move. The eye doesn't either. It only watches, matching the way the story has always done, but with more intent now. The lantern's flame flickers once, and the eye closes. The hum returns, lighter this time, as though satisfied. You close the notebook gently. The warmth remains in your fingers. And in the seam of the wall, you feel a quiet agreement. A pause in whatever waits there. The silence tonight feels deliberate. Not absence, but presence without movement. The lantern's twin flames are steady, but their glow has shifted hue, more amber than gold. As if the light itself has been listening too long. The bone charm swings once, not far, just enough for the chain to rub a slow whisper against its loop. It stops facing you directly, as though waiting for a signal. The notebook is closed again, but closer to the seam in the wall than you remember leaving it. Its spine points toward that thin, invisible line, like a compass in still water. When you slide it back to the table's center, the paper loop shifts with it. They stay aligned, as though bound by something more than thread and paper. You sit. The wood beneath you sighs. Your fingertips rest on the cover. The hum comes almost instantly now, rising up through the table, through your wrists, until it settles in your ribs. When you open the notebook, the page is already mid-turn. As if you caught it in the act, it lands on a drawing, not of the lantern this time, but of you. You know it's you, though your features are softened, blurred at the edges. You are sitting at the same table, lantern to your left, bone charm swaying in front of you. But in the drawing, your mouth is open. A thread spills from your lips in ink, stretching down the page, looping through the bowl, curling toward the seam. You touch the drawn thread with one finger. It feels raised, like the earlier ink, but warmer, as though something had just passed through it. From the seam, a sound emerges, not the hum. A low exhalation, drawn out until it trembles at the end. Your reflection in the lantern glass leans forward, mimicking you, but in its version, the mouth moves. The bone charm clicks, once, sharply. The hum stops. The air between you and the seam thickens, like breath held too long. The ink thread on the page shivers. It uncoils, reaches up the margin, and wraps twice around the drawing of your wrist. You watch it tighten, not painfully, but with weight. A tether dot the seam in the wall darkens, the way air changes before a storm. It feels closer, though you have not moved. You could close the notebook. You should, but your fingers don't respond. The page remains open, the tether in the drawing. Holding you there, the reflection in the glass tilts its head. Its mouth closes. The tether slackens, and then, with the softest sound, it snaps. The ink recoils into the page, curling back into the drawn bowl. The hum returns, quiet, as if to reassure you it was only an exchange, not a claim. You close the notebook slowly. The bone charm still faces you. The seam remains silent, but you know the silence is not the same as before. It's the kind that waits. The night bends differently now. Not darker, just shaped in a way that draws you back to the table. The lantern's twin flames are small, but sharper somehow. Their light cutting a clean oval across the notebook. The rest of the hallway feels hushed out of reach, as if it has been folded away. The bone charm shifts without swinging, its loop grazing the rim of the bowl with a muted brush. It feels like acknowledgement, a greeting between objects that have shared something you haven't seen. The notebook is open this time, though you don't remember opening it. The page is blank, but warm, as though the ink has only just faded. When you touch the surface, a slow pulse moves beneath it, like breath against fabric. The hum rises to meet your hand, matching the beat it finds there. You glance at the seam in the wall. It seems no wider, but the air between you and it has a texture now, soft as worn paper. From the page, a faint indentation begins to form. Not ink, not drawn, as though the paper itself is shaping from the inside out. It grows into a shallow imprint. Your hand, Every line, every curve exact dot you pull your palm back in reflex. The imprint remains. From its center, tiny letters appear, no larger than grains of salt. They spread outward, curling to form a ring, like the marks around the gold fleck you've seen before. The hum deepens, becoming almost a purr. The lantern pops once, and your reflection in the glass turns its head, not toward you, but toward the page. A drip echoes from behind the seam. The imprint on the paper darkens slightly, as though absorbing it. The bone charm sways now, slow, its shadow crawling across the page until it rests inside the outline of your drawn palm. The moment it touches, the letters around the imprint shift, their order rearranging in small, deliberate pulses. You don't know the language, but you understand the cadence. It's the same rhythm the story has kept since the first unspoken word. You think, no, you feel that if you read them aloud, something in the seam would change. The hum stills, waiting. You part your lips. The lantern light narrows, both, flames leaning toward you. The reflection in the glass doesn't speak, but you see its throat move. A breath escapes you, soft and uncertain. It brushes the letters. The gold fleck appears in the center of your paper hand, pulsing once. The letters stop moving. The hum resumes, lighter, closing whatever door you nearly opened. The imprint fades back into the paper. Your palm is empty. You close the notebook, its cover faintly warm, and set it back under the lantern's glow. The seam is silent. The charm is still, but the gold fleck lingers behind your eyes long after you look away. You have been avoiding the hallway. 3 nights in other rooms with windows open to the outside, with no seam in the wall, no waiting notebook under a twin flame. But tonight, the house has been narrowing itself. Every step takes you closer without choice. Every turn in the dark ends at the same threshold. The lantern is already lit when you arrive. Both flames are still, their edges sharp as ink lines. They rest on the notebook's cover, as if holding it in place. The bone charm hangs directly in front of the seam. You have never seen it there before. Its loop sways only slightly, as if measuring the breadth between you and the wall. The paper loop you left in the bowl is gone. In its place, a thin thread of ink, looping twice before vanishing into the notebook's spine. You touch the cover. It is warm, but not from the lantern. This is a warmth that waits for you. When you open it, the pages turn on their own, not in a rush, but with the care of someone showing you a series of doors. They stop deep into the book, on a page already full. Ink crowded edge to edge dot, it is not written in one voice. Some lines slope in your hand, others in another hand, finer, tighter. Some letters double themselves, as though written twice over. And in the center, an empty space, oval, untouched. The hum begins. You've heard it many times now, but tonight it is steadier, less a vibration than a tone that grows warmer the longer you listen. Your reflection in the lantern glass is watching. The space on the page, not you, not the text, only the space. You touch the margin near it. The letters nearest your finger lean toward your skin, their strokes curling to face you. The bone charm clicks once, as though acknowledging contact. The seam in the wall deepens, in shade, not widening, just darkening, until it seems there might be depth there after all. The oval space remains untouched. It is the only place in the entire book without a mark. You think of the first unspoken word, how it felt under your tongue like a seed. You wonder if this is where it belongs. The hum lifts, almost expectant. The air between you and the page feels softer, like cloth pulled from a drawer after many years. You lower your head until your breath brushes the paper. The oval shape holds perfectly still. The lantern's twin flames bend toward you. The reflection does not move. You part your lips. Your throat shapes the first syllable, but you do not let it out. The hum pauses, like a held note. You close your mouth. The oval darkens, filling with the color of wet stone. For a moment, you think it's ink, but it moves, swirling, as if it contains depth. You lean closer, and the surface cools against your gaze. You see faint movement inside, shapes shifting behind mist, too far to resolve. The bone charm sways, the thread of ink running from it into the spine of the notebook tightens slightly, as though connecting the two. The hum resumes, slower now. It pulls at the beat of your pulse, drawing it down to match. A drop of water echoes from far away, landing somewhere inside the sound. Your fingers brush the edge of the oval. The mist clears slightly, and there, at the center, a fleck of gold, pulsing with a rhythm almost identical to your own heartbeat. The reflection in the glass tilts its head. Its mouth shapes a word. You can almost read it, but the moment you think you know, it changes, becomes something else. You look back at the page. The gold fleck is brighter now. The oval's edge trembles once, then holds still. You feel, without knowing how, that if you speak the missing word, it will fill the space completely. The hum is so low now it's almost silence. You can feel your own breath louder than the sound. Your lips part again. You take in air slowly, careful not to break the stillness. The seam in the wall feels nearer. Your skin prickles with a sense of something leaning toward you from the other side. The bone. CHARM clicks. A soft, deliberate tap. You stop. The air between you and the page feels like the moment before rain. The gold fleck dims once, as if in patience. The hum swells again, returning to its usual depth. You close the notebook gently, keeping your palm on the cover, a moment longer than needed. When you set it back under the lantern, You notice the thread of ink from the bowl has grown shorter, as if the book has pulled more of it inside. The bone charm is still in front of the seam. Its loop no longer sways. The wall is silent, but you feel the silence is not an ending. You step away. But your heartbeat feels slower than when you arrived, and the shape of the missing word stays just behind your teeth, waiting. The night has narrowed to a single room. You are back in the hallway, though you do not remember the walk here. The lantern's twin flames are tall now, their light sharper, cutting edges into the air. They lean toward the notebook, which waits exactly where you left it. The bone charm hangs in front of the seam again, its thread stretched almost taut. It does not move, but its shadow trembles faintly against the wall. The paper loop is still gone. The thread of ink from the bowl is shorter. Again, now only a faint mark on the rim. You touch the cover of the notebook. It feels different, not warm this time, but cool in the way river stones keep the night. When you open it, there is no slow turning. It falls open immediately to the page with the oval space. The space is not empty now. The gold fleck is gone, replaced by a small, dark circle, matte, like soot pressed into paper. The hum begins low, curling up through the table into your elbows. It feels patient, but closer than before. You lean in. The circle's surface is flat, until your shadow crosses it. Then it deepens suddenly, as though your outline has pushed it open. The seam in the wall responds. It is not wider, but it is present in a way you can feel. The air there has weight, like a door held closed by a hand on the other side. Your reflection in the lantern glass is already looking at the circle. Its mouth moves, one syllable, careful and slow. The hum swells slightly, matching the shape of that movement. You touch the edge of the page. The circle pulls at your skin, not physically, but with an awareness, as if it knows your touch and has been waiting for it. The bone charm sways once, chain brushing ceramic. A single drop echoes from deep inside the seam. The hum changes, flattening into a tone, steady, like a line drawn without pause. Your heartbeat matches it. You do not decide this. It simply happens. The circle darkens, its edges fading into the page. The missing word rises in your mouth, not as sound, but as a shape behind your teeth. The lantern's flames bend forward, and the reflection mouths the word again. You take in a breath. The hum stops. The seam in the wall leans closer, without moving. You could speak it now. You could place the last word in the story, but you do not. You close the notebook. The cool of the cover lingers in your palms when you set it back on the table. The lantern flames return to their steady height. The bone charm is still. The seam is silent. The story remains unfinished, but you know it exists, whether you speak it or not. It will wait in the dark space between your breath and your next thought, listening, patient. ready to continue when you are. The lantern burns lower now, its twin flames breathing together in a slow, even rhythm. The hallway is no longer waiting for you to move. It is holding you, like a shoreline holds the tide. The bone charm is quiet, its thread resting, without sway. The notebook lies closed beneath the softest light, and though you know the seam in the wall remains, it no longer presses against you. It simply exists, a patient horizon, farther away than it was a moment ago. You let your breath slow, let it fall into the same rhythm as the hum you have carried for so many nights. The air feels lighter here, as if the story has settled deeper into the house, no longer needing to test its shape against your thoughts. Your hands rest on the table, fingers warm from the cover they have just released. The wood beneath is smooth and certain, its grain quiet under your touch. Somewhere beyond, rain falls in a slow, measured pattern. Each drop like a small, careful word. You close your eyes and see the glow of the lantern still, painting the dark behind your lids in soft amber. The seam fades from sight, but not from knowing. It will be there, as it always is. As the hollow always is, the story does not end, it only curls inward, becoming part of your own quiet. Until the next time you return here, the tale has ended. Now sleep, if you can. I'll be just beyond the veil, listening.